Good morning for Tuesday, September 27th, 2022, and looking at some trading ideas coming into today for the ES. Let's rock and roll here. New day, fresh start. So we've got on the daily, we took out the low from Friday by just a fuzz, but once again, this structure is still in place. The wave 2, which is a zigzag, which is a corrective wave, which would indicate that the return is to the upside. Cut it close. If we break the origin of wave 1, this is not a wave 2. All right, so we've got a balance going on. We have a gap down. Right now we're trading up closer to the highs, or we were a few minutes ago anyway, of yesterday's range. And let's have a look at that. Okay. So couple things to bear in mind. Well, we did have a poor high in the overnight. We took that out, but we did not take out prior day's high. So I need to move this up a little bit. Things change quickly, right? So we were up here. Now we're all the way back down here. We're still above value though. Okay, so right now we got a half an hour, but it's looking like we might open up in range above value. So a couple things to be aware of is that, we do have some gaps that have not been closed above. We've got a lot of anomalies above. We have poor highs above. And let me look below here. We have a poor low in the overnight. Another thing to bear in mind is that forecast for, I'm not big into correlated markets because it could be real shifting sands, but crude oil is sort of forecast today to be bears in control. We'll see. Anything can happen. But right now we are in range and not quite in value yet. However, if we merge this together, get a little sidetracked here, we are in value. Okay, so this is important to bear in mind that in a larger sense of the two balancing days plus the overnight, we are in range in value. So the VIX is at 31, last I checked. Yesterday it started off at 32. It was very choppy and a little bit dangerous. So, in fact, I can attest to that. I got a witness here. And do these merges. All right, so let's talk about the stories real quick. First one, it would be that we open in range above value. By the way, I changed my format a little bit, cleaned it up, put it in a little bit more logical flow. The story of where we're going to open, where we begin the story, right? And then the strategy of what may happen, and then the conditions that if these are met, not all, they don't have to be met 100%. This takes a lot of feel, okay? But these things kind of help with the strategy, all right? So open in range above value. The strategy would be to, if we remain in balance, to rotate primarily within yesterday's range, similarly to yesterday, okay? That's really all that needs to be said. But sell prior high of day area. So you're going to get used to, if anybody's watching this, you're going to get used to my little abbreviations here, PHOD, previous high day. I say area because we might take it out. Now, if we do take it out, very, very quickly could shift into story 2. So that's very important to remember. But if we fail, what doesn't happen, that's going to be important too. If that does not happen, then we need to fall back into this strategy. So sell the prior high day area, and again, this could happen in any order, okay? The other thing would be to buy the value area high, because that's just below here. Here's the value area high. This could be an area to buy. It also, right now, happens to be the overnight volume point of control. At least it did. Let me check up here. Well, nope, that's moved. There's still a prominent, so you got to keep, these are shifting sands, coming into the first hour before the open. Lots of stuff changes, so there, the overnight value area high as well has changed. I just did this not that long ago. Anyway, so there's the value area high from yesterday. We do have, this is important to note, okay, below that, you've got this low that's 3 wide, okay? So there could be a lot of stops below here, so if we get moved down there, this could see some acceleration. And the overnight value area low moved up as well, okay? All right, well, that's actually helpful because now you've got something maybe to get behind. I think if it were to get down here, look out. There may be a bounce from there. Again, if you're selling here and you're looking for a place to put a stop. All right, getting too detailed. I really want to rock and roll here. So, want to watch market internals neutral. Not heavily one way or the other. Most days lately, there have been a few where it starts off just right out of the gate, just super negative or super positive, mainly negative lately. But neutral, slower tempo. We haven't really had that. I'm not expecting a slow tempo today, but this is probably the more key one. I've added it in here is daytime frame control. So learn how to recognize what players are in the market, or how they're behaving anyway. And so we're looking for that. And again, if we get down, you could buy the value area low. We get all the way down there, but there's a few stops in between. There's the pivot point. You've got all these little single prints. We one time framed up in the Asian market. You have settlement all the way down here. There's a lot of little stopping points to either get short against or get long from. Again, this is, if we'll seem to be balancing, but again, that's going to be in range and value at that point. That's early on. That's tough stuff. Okay, can be tough stuff. All right, open in range above value, and then we still have the hammer reversal in play, which has an 88% chance if it takes off, and we do have the fuel above with a gap that's not been revisited and closed. 88% chance extension equal the prior day's range, and yesterday's range was very similar to the day before, so we're just going to call it roughly the last 2 days ranges. You want positive market internals of buying, negative selling. This is important to kind of bear this in mind, because it's easy to go off with an idea without actually realizing I'm getting some conflicting information here. So a high confidence open, it doesn't necessarily have to be. We could tool around in here for there's quite a range here. We could tool around here for A and B period for a little while before we ever break to the upside. So, but if we just open drive up, I would jump to this scenario if we don't fail above the overnight high, we don't fail above the prior high day. These hold, then it's game on. Okay, so let's say we keep trading lower, we open in range and value. Again, on the 2-day scale, we are, but and you could just play this idea, merge your profiles together and look for use that volume point of control, use that value area high and low, rotate within yesterday's value area. Again, calling it yesterday's or the prior 2 days combined, or their whole range. Right? You could get like a little pop out of the upside, pop out of the downside. So we're looking for a balancing day, kind of like yesterday, and trade from the value area high, value area low, or other structure, just depending. Again, mixed market internals, so it isn't real clear that there's one in control or another. And we've seen a lot lately where the buyers are in control for a little while, the sellers are in control, but neither one are extreme. Now later in the day or morning, very often it does shift to a more dominant hand. But all right, so if we do open up in range and value, you want it to build some value first before it moves the value area high, value area low. If you're going to sell the value area high, buy the value area low. Think that through and it'll make sense to you. All right, now the next thing would be to the downside. If we take out yesterday's low with continuation, actually I'm gonna reverse this. Let's skip to story 5. If we take out yesterday's low, look for longs at pre-identified inflection points below. Now I didn't change this from yesterday. All right, so all the things are not going to sustain trade below. So we may have a lot of volume up above, we may have value up above, VPOC prominent, very high, and we just get this stab to the downside. All right, a probe. And let's let me show you the. I did put them on this chart today. So I've got a new area here, back from the 16th and 17th, because see we had a similar area up here. Now I've marked below. This is a 617 low at 3639, 3642 is the 616 low. The green area is just a pivot zone. There's a pivot here and a pivot here, and it's just a zone. Okay. The blue areas mark low volume nodes in between these 2 days. All right, it's very thin in these little spots. We saw how that played out yesterday very beautifully. Then we have it 3 wide. Now these here I'm combining 16 and 17. Okay, so consider those like TPOs merged together. 5 wide here, 3 wide there. So the idea would be you could have a resting order. You could look for a back end or a back end to yesterday, similar to what happened yesterday. And a back end to yesterday's range, similar to what happened yesterday to Friday's range. All right, nice move there. It's really a trade of the day. And you could trade it by just try to get long on each one as it comes down. That's not ideal unless you want to potentially take a bunch of heat. The closer it is, the more aggressive it is. Be careful of fear of missing out. I'm preaching to myself here. And the ideal thing would be to let it get in a little bit and look for it to thin out and come back up and try to attempt to come down again and get in on a reversion. Okay, that's what I call the floor trader. All right, so there's that. Now, let's back up to story 4. This would be to take out the prior low day with continuation. So in this case, we want to find a way to get on board. In this case, there's one time framing entries which involve a smaller time frame than the 30-minute. You want to look for under the hood. And if you've seen my prior videos, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into it here. Get on board with a strong move when clear long liquidation has resumed, meaning this big move to the downside we've had, we're looking for it to continue past that origin point that I was saying, like that's when this wave 2 would not work. I am not thinking this is going to happen. We have on a weekly candlestick on the 24-hour, we have a tweezer bottom. On the daily, we had a tweezer bottom. We had the hammer reversal yesterday. Now, the tweezer bottoms is a bullish reversal pattern. According to Bukowski, it's not that great. In fact, a lot of times it continues to the downside. So we do have, I don't know how much further the downside. That's the question. But, I just feel I feel the odds are highest for either balancing or a strong move to the upside versus, and I don't know when in the day it'll happen and what order, but I don't really favor like continued downside in a heavy way. But hey, that's just an opinion. I could be wrong. All right, so there we go. That's all I got for this morning. Hope you make a great day, and maybe I'll see you later.